But they didn't just murder him. They physically and emotionally tortured him.
The body of 18-year-old black teenager Nolan Xavier Wells has been found. He went missing on July 4th while traveling by boat with 3 white friends to Horn Island, Mississippi, approximately 10 miles from the Gulf Coast. On July 6th, a park administrator discovered him in the water near the northwest end of the island. His phone was not on his person, but in his father's hand.
"Hey Mom, I'm about to go. I love you." He cooked us dinner that night, gave me a kiss and a hug. I never thought that would be the last time I would hear his voice. 48 hours later, he was dead. But here is what keeps his parents awake at night. The boat left the island at 4:31 p.m., 31 minutes after someone called for help and said everyone was on board. Everyone except Nolan. The phone he never left behind was found on that boat, but every trace of him that day had vanished, and nearly 200 people were on that island, yet not one person saw what happened to an 18-year-old boy after 3 p.m. on Independence Day. Welcome to Unsolved Crime Detective. Kindly subscribe to this channel and tell us where you are watching from in the comments below. In today's case, we will dissect the circumstances surrounding the demise of Nolan Xavier Wells. Now, let us get into it. Nolan Xavier Wells was 18 years old, a football star at Ocean Springs High School in Mississippi, a wide receiver who had signed to play at Southwest Mississippi Community College in Summit. On National Signing Day, February 5th, 2025, he stood before cameras with his teammates and smiled that brilliant smile. "It is truly a blessing being here with some of my best friends and teammates," he said, "and most of us are all going to college together." His head coach, Jake Bramlett, would later remember him as the kind of son, teammate, friend, and student that every coach hopes to have in a program. His character spoke louder than his accomplishments. His principal, Dr. Jacob Dykes, described him as a remarkable student, teammate, and brother, an extremely kind and hard-working young man who left a lasting impression on everyone around him. But before he was any of those things, he was a son. Elmore and Christine Wansley raised him in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and they raised him with rules. "We always taught him if you go with a group, you stay with the group," Elmore would say. "If you go with 5, you come back with 5. Do not separate from the group." He always said, "Yes, sir." Christine would describe him as the funniest kid in their family, the kindest soul who loved everyone and never met a stranger. Elmore would tell a story about toddler Nolan running into the room in nothing but a diaper, dancing just to stop his parents from arguing. That was their boy, always trying to make everyone happy. On July 4th, 2026, Independence Day, Nolan left from a private dock on El Camino Real Road in Ocean Springs, Mississippi at 9:56 in the morning. GPS data from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources tracked every movement of that boat. It arrived at Horn Island, a remote, undeveloped barrier island, part of the Gulf Islands National Seashore, at 11:14 a.m., of federal land accessible only by private boats. And on this day, nearly 200 people gathered there. Some reports said 300. Nolan was one of very few black faces in that crowd. For hours, the day felt entirely routine. Photos captured on the boat that morning showed Nolan towering over his friends, a massive smile plastered across his face as they posed together under the hot July sun. Witnesses saw the group anchor near the crowded shoreline, doing what hundreds of others were doing, swimming in the Mississippi Sound, listening to music, and enjoying the holiday weekend before Nolan was set to head off to Southwest Mississippi Community College for football training. But as the afternoon progressed and the beach grew chaotic, the narrative fractures. He was last seen around 3 p.m., and then, around 4 p.m., a call went out from that boat. A voice, young, urgent.
"Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come?"
A dispatcher asked, "Is everyone on board in good health otherwise?" "Yeah, everybody's on board," the voice replied. But Nolan was not on that boat. And then, silence. The silence did not last long. Christine Wansley used an app to track Nolan's phone that night. A friend went to where it was on land to pick it up. When she and Elmore finally examined it, they found something that chilled them. Nolan had 2 Snapchat accounts. Both were empty. No photos, no videos from July 4th. For a kid who documented everything, this was not just unusual, it was unthinkable. Christine would later tell ABC News that the messages appeared to have been deleted faster than the app's normal expiration window. Even her sister looked at the blank history and said, "Yeah, that's suspicious." Ben Crump, the civil rights attorney who would soon take up the family cause, put it bluntly. What teenager would leave their phone? The family suspected that messages had been deleted, though investigators have not confirmed this. But the phone was only a piece of a larger puzzle where the pieces did not fit. 2 versions of Nolan's final hours emerged, and they contradicted each other directly. Story A, from the friends who were on the boat with him. They said Nolan chose to stay behind on Horn Island to talk to a girl named Katie, that he planned to catch a ride back with another group. Story B, from that same girl relayed through Ben Crump's team's investigation. She allegedly said that Nolan told her he was going back to the boat. 2 stories, 1 truth, 1 lie. Ben Crump would later state this publicly. They are not saying the same thing. One of them is telling the truth. One is not. We have to get to the bottom of that. The 3 friends who were on the boat with Nolan have hired lawyers. Crump said his investigators have not attempted to speak with them yet because they now have legal representation. The GPS data only deepened the contradiction. The boat did not leave Horn Island until 4:31 p.m., 31 minutes after someone reported it was sinking. It then traveled to Fort Bayou at 5:52 p.m., returned to the dock at 6:06 p.m., and was taken to the Fort Bayou boat launch at 7:19 p.m., pulled from the water and transported overland to its owner in Biloxi. The boat owner, his mother, and one other person are reportedly cooperating with the investigation. Cheryl McCollum, a crime scene investigator who analyzed the case for News Nation, put the problem in plain terms. If their story does not match completely with what that boat did, then they are going to have a problem.
So, what answers? Does this dispatch audio? Does this this GPS data? What answers do you have now that you didn't?
You know, you can hear the voice. He doesn't sound panicked. He doesn't sound out of control. He sounds very calculated. There's a problem. They're trying to handle it. The other thing we now have is GPS. Tracking that boat is critical because these boys already made a statement. They already talked to family. They already talked to law enforcement. If their story does not match completely with what that boat did, then they're going to have a problem.
Around 11 p.m. that night, one of the teens who had been with Nolan contacted the United States Coast Guard. The Coast Guard would later tell WLOX that the call did not require Coast Guard assistance. At approximately 11:07 p.m., Christine Wansley received a call from one of the boys on the boat. Around midnight, she called the Jackson County Sheriff Department. What followed was back and forth between agencies, confusion over jurisdiction. The family eventually met a deputy in a McDonald's parking lot in the middle of the night to share what little they knew. Elmore Wansley went to retrieve Nolan's keys from the home where he had stayed with friends the night before. Nolan's car was still parked in the yard. Christine Wansley would later remember that moment with a question that still had no answer. Where is my baby? Where is he? While the family searched in the dark, the internet had already begun to judge. A video surfaced on social media within days of Nolan's disappearance. Grainy footage from Horn Island. A voice shouting over the noise of the crowd. "Give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing?" The clip spread fast. Millions of views. Millions of comments. Millions of people were convinced they were watching Nolan Wells in his final moments. The theory took hold before anyone could stop it. This was the proof. This was the moment that led to his death. Except, it was not Nolan at all. On July 13th, 2026, Tracis and Shepard sat down with Rolling Stone and said the words that should have ended the speculation. Those were not Nolan words, they were mine, he stated.
Shepard addressed this viral video that investigators have been studying. Wells's parents worried it showed their son involved in a confrontation, but Shepard said that's him, not Wells.
That's the video I'm referring to. That's me yelling.
Shepard was 20 years old, a friend of Nolan's, and visibly exhausted from days of online harassment. He explained what the video actually showed. He had been trying to get off a boat to continue an argument with a stranger. The people around him were holding him back. His exact wording was, "Get me off this fucking boat." It had nothing to do with Nolan. Shepard's uncle and girlfriend corroborated his account. He also pushed back against the narrative that was building around race. He made sure everybody was included, Shepard said of Nolan. "He was your biggest supporter. I am tired of speculation. My friends are terrified. We are all terrified." But the video was not the only piece of misinformation that spread faster than the truth. Ben Crump had shared a photo on his social media accounts. A pool party, he implied, from July 4th. Trassis and Shepard looked at it and recognized it immediately. That photo was taken in Pass Christian, Mississippi, on July 27th, he said. Not July 4th, not Horn Island. Christine Wansley also took to Facebook on July 11th to address the flood of false content. "The internet is unhinged," she wrote. "Please do not engage and take care of your mental." While the family searched for the truth, someone else went online with a different purpose. A man named Remington McCall posted an openly racist video mocking Nolan's death. The response was swift and brutal. Within days, his identity was exposed. His employer fired him. His family reportedly told him not to come home. And according to reports, the FBI contacted someone close to him.
Did it? We sure did do it. What you think? What you think we do when we take y'all young men camping with us? You know them boys don't know how to swim. Yeah. You throw them in that water. They say, "Swim, boy, swim! Whoa, learn how to swim, boy! You can't do it! You can't do it, boy! Y'all ain't ever gonna learn how to swim!" Yeah, they did it.
Meanwhile, Ashley Cole, a Jackson County Chancery judge, posted on Facebook on July 7th. Her stepson Warren had been on the boat with Nolan. "Our son Warren loved Nolan dearly," she wrote. "He saw Nolan last at around 3 p.m. on July 4th. They left around 4:30 p.m. when the boat was taking on water. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island." Days later, she deleted her social media pages. Her family had received death threats. The question of whether a judge whose family member was involved in a case under active investigation should recuse herself hung in the air, unanswered. The morning of July 5th, 2026, Elmore Wansley went to Horn Island by boat with Nolan's football coach to search for his son's body. At 12:26 p.m., Coast Guard Sector Mobile received a request for assistance from the Jackson County Sheriff Office. At 12:31 p.m., JCSO issued a press release describing Nolan as an 18-year-old black male, approximately 6'1", 180 pounds, last seen on Horn Island wearing blue swim trunks, no shirt, and sunglasses. At 5:54 p.m., JCSO established a command post at the Lake Mars boat launch. Multiple agencies joined the search: Gulf Islands National Seashore, the United States National Park Service, the United States Coast Guard, the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources, the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries and Parks, the Biloxi Fire Department, the Harrison County Sheriff Office, the Jackson County Fire Service, and the United Cajun Navy. Search boats went out. The last vessels left just before 8 a.m. Around 8:45 a.m., a United States Park Service ranger discovered a body in the water at the northwestern tip of Horn Island. Sheriff John Ledbetter confirmed the body matched Wells' description. The family was asked to come to the Lake Mars boat launch, where they were met by Sheriff Ledbetter and Coroner Bruce Lind. Just after 11 a.m., the family was taken to the coroner in Pascagoula. Before 1 p.m., they confirmed Nolan's death on social media. Positive identification was later confirmed via dental records by the Mississippi State Medical Examiner Office. But the discovery of the body did not end the questions. It deepened them. Ben Crump spoke at a press conference in New York on July 10th. The family has distrust of Mississippi law enforcement giving them a fair investigation, he said, where their black son ended up dead after going out on a boat with 3 young white men. Christine Wansley, standing beside him, spoke about conversations she and Elmore had with Nolan. "We had conversations about the importance of understanding our history as Black people," she said, "but also the importance of how you have to move in certain spaces." The pressure grew. On July 15th, Crump and the family met with Jackson County District Attorney Angel Myers McElrath. The outcome: once the sheriff office completed its investigation, the case would be presented to a grand jury. McElrath emphasized this was standard procedure, not an indication that a crime had been committed. But on July 16th, the Mississippi House of Representatives adjourned its special legislative session in Nolan's memory. State Representative Henry Zuber III praised his beautiful, contagious smile and said he was always ready with a joke, taken way, way too early. Representative Jeffrey Holcomb III called him a beacon of hope and light for his friends, family, and the whole Gulf Coast. Christine Wansley responded on Facebook, "Thank you for doing that for our sunshine Nolan Wells," she wrote. Governor Tate Reeves addressed the case publicly that same day. "I have confidence in law enforcement," he said. "I have not yet seen evidence suggesting foul play." But he added a critical caveat. If investigators uncover evidence of a crime, authorities will pursue the case and hold those responsible accountable.
I have yet to see a fact or a piece of evidence that suggests any foul play. But if there is, I feel confident that the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, the members at the Department of Public Safety that deal with these crimes, if there had been one, they will find it and they will do what is necessary.
Cheryl McCullum put the central mystery in plain terms. "There were hundreds of people out there," she said. "How somebody did not see him is pretty shocking to me. I do not understand how he got separated from everybody that he knows." The body had been found at the northwestern tip of Horn Island. If Nolan had drowned, how had he ended up there? The currents, the tides, the patterns of the Mississippi Sound all became questions without answers.
The questions only multiplied when the autopsies failed to deliver answers. The official autopsy by the Mississippi State Medical Examiner Office remains pending as of July 19, 2026. Dental records confirmed identity, but the cause of death has not been determined. The independent autopsy, arranged by Ben Crump and Eric Hertz's team and funded by Colin Kaepernick in Washington, D.C., also remains pending. The delay had been caused by canceled flights along the East Coast. Ben Crump, speaking to Don Lemon on July 8th, said the second autopsy would find out if Nolan had any physical injuries to his body beyond drowning. Elmore and Christine Wansley were not accepting the explanation that their son had simply drowned. Elmore described Nolan as an elite athlete and confident swimmer. The family had raised questions from the beginning. Christine told investigators that Nolan's Snapchat history for July 4th was blank. They were worried and suspected messages had been deleted, though this remains an allegation, not a confirmed fact. On July 15th, Ben Crump, co-counsel Eric Hertz, and the Wells family met with District Attorney Angel Myers McElrath at the courthouse in Pascagoula. The outcome: once the sheriff office completed its investigation, the case would be presented to a grand jury. McElrath emphasized this was standard procedure, not an indication of criminality. Crump said the hope was that all relevant witnesses and evidence would be presented to the grand jury, so that a fair and impartial investigation into the death of Nolan Wells could proceed.
We continue to be steadfast and trying to get to the truth.
Tonight, the parents of Nolan Wells and their legal team, led by attorney Ben Crump, received some assurances by the thoroughness of the investigation. As tips pour in,
we're getting about 50 calls a day to 100 calls a day.
It's been agreed Wells's cell phone will undergo a mutual inspection by the DA's office and experts from Crump's legal team.
So the hope is that when this is presented to the grand jury, all relevant witnesses and evidence will be presented to them so that we can have a fair and impartial investigation.
During that same July 15th meeting, the family and DA agreed to a mutual inspection of Nolan's phone.
This morning, the parents of Nolan Wells say they're ready to share their son's cell phone with the authorities investigating his death.
We will have a mutual inspection of the cell phone with our experts and their experts.
Ronald Reichlach, a law professor at the University of Mississippi, noted that such mutual inspections are not typical. Evidence is secured and not usually shared, he said. What digital forensics might find, if anything, was still unknown. Christine Wansley stood before reporters and said what every mother in her position would say: "I want the truth, even if it hurts." 2 autopsies, 2 investigations, and still the silence. The silence would be broken, if only for a day, by a funeral that was never supposed to happen. The planning began with a larger venue. The Mississippi Coast Coliseum and Convention Center in Biloxi had agreed to host. But the proposed cost was $82,111. Sam Voisin, the Coliseum executive director, explained that Mississippi Constitution Section 66 prohibits any governmental entity from donating or giving gratuity to an individual without state legislative approval. The cost included staffing, production, equipment, and security for an event of potential magnitude, planned with less than 5 days' notice with potentially 5,000 people. On July 14th, the family chose a different path. Voisin said the Coliseum extends its deepest condolences. As a small but heartfelt gesture, the Coliseum exterior will be lit up in blue for the month of July to honor Nolan. The final venue is Center Point Church in Ocean Springs. Services are directed by Lockett Williams Mortuary, Inc. in Gulfport. As the community mourns, the final arrangements for Nolan have been set. Services are directed by Lockett Williams Mortuary, Inc., with Reverend Al Sharpton officiating, and Ben Crump offering what the program calls a call to justice. In a generous show of support, Tyler Perry has stepped forward to cover all funeral costs, citing his own personal experience with the loss of a nephew under unexplained circumstances. Additionally, Byron Allen has contributed $100,000 to the family's GoFundMe, which has surpassed $700,000 in donations from a grieving public. While the family prepares to say their final goodbyes and hold a celebration of life at the Jackson County Fairgrounds, the focus remains on the family's request for peace. Christine Wansley has been clear. She asks that any planned demonstrations remain strictly peaceful, honoring the kind of person Nolan was. Though the service provides a moment for the community to grieve, for his parents, the search for the truth continues unabated. The truth remains elusive. 2 autopsies, 2 investigations, 0 answers as of July 19, 2026. The official autopsy by the Mississippi State Medical Examiner Office remains pending. The independent autopsy, funded by Colin Kaepernick in Washington, D.C., also remains pending. The grand jury, announced by District Attorney Angel Myers McIlrath on July 15th, awaits the completion of the sheriff investigation. The phone is scheduled for a mutual inspection. The FBI continues to assist. Governor Tate Reeves has put his promise on record. If investigators uncover evidence of a crime, authorities will pursue the case. "There are a lot of narratives out there," said co-counsel Eric Hertz. "Our job is to cut through the noise and find the truth, and the truth needs to be found by unbiased investigation. We know, in America, in the South, certain people are investigated differently," Crump said. "We are trying desperately to figure it out, and we are going to get to the truth." 8 questions remain. What did the autopsies reveal? Who was the girl named Katie that Nolan allegedly stayed to talk to? What do the 3 friends know, and why have they hired lawyers? Does the GPS data match their story? Why were there no Snapchat photos from July 4th? Who is making the death threats that forced a judge to delete her social media and sent Remington McCall into hiding? Will the grand jury recommend charges? And will Governor Reeves act on his promise? If you were on Horn Island on July 4th, 2026, and you saw something, contact the Jackson County Sheriff Office or contact Ben Crump's office. I strongly believe that someone knows what happened. 200 people were there. One of them must have actually seen something. Christine Wansley stood in New York on July 10th and said what every parent understands.
So I lost my mom a few years ago, and that was hard. This loss, this grief, this pain, it's different. It's insurmountable. And then it's like you get these flood of emotions all at different times, and grief is so multi-layered. You know, one second I might be okay and I can talk about things and I can listen to his stories, and then the next minute I am falling apart and I feel like I can't breathe, and I feel like there is an elephant just sitting on my chest.
Subscribe, hit the bell. This story is not over. The truth is still out there.